So we're going to make this video real quick just to jump into user permissions. What are user permissions in GoHighLevel? Why does that matter? I am in a sub account here under the settings menu, and I've clicked on my staff. So if you would kind of follow along here, settings, my staff, I'm going to click the add employee button. You'll notice I don't have anybody, and I certainly don't have a team created. So let's just add an employee real quick. What we're going to have to populate in here real quick is first name, last name, email, phone. We're going to have to pick a password. You're going to have to pick a pretty safe password for it to let you proceed. As we continue to scroll down here, we could select the user calendar, but now we've arrived at this really fun menu called user permissions. And if you look right below that, we have a user role. So right now it's auto selected to user, but we have user and admin. Admin is going to allow them to export data out of the CRM, and it's going to give them a little bit more of an expanded opportunity to do stuff that a user wouldn't allow. So just be careful with who you're adding and why you're adding them. Maybe you're adding a VA or something like that who's working for a very low price. There is certainly no reason to give them extended permissions to export the data out of the system. We want to allow them to add data, but certainly not to export. Let's go back to this user permission menu here. So we can kind of pick and choose here what we want them to see. Dashboard stats, sometimes that's just confusing and maybe you just don't want to explain yourself. So let's go ahead and just turn that off right now. Campaigns, we definitely don't want them touching that. Triggers, we don't want anybody touching that. These are depreciated features, but we don't need anybody messing with that stuff. Opportunities and contacts, traditionally we want to let them have access to that. Online listings, not important. Settings, here's a real interesting menu. This is going to totally just restrict somebody's access to your system. So if they don't need access to settings, if they're not going to be going in there and doing stuff, they probably don't need access to that. Tags, leave this on. Marketing, they definitely don't need that. They don't need AdWords reporting. We can leave call reporting on there. Social planner, they definitely don't need that. Workflows, you'll notice too there's some read-only options on here. So maybe somebody, you want them to look at the workflows, but you don't want them to be able to mess with it. Traditionally, turn that stuff off. We don't need somebody having access to that. Appointments, bulk requests, funnels, we'll go ahead and turn that off. Conversations, let's leave that on. Reviews, we probably don't need that on for most people. Membership, again, no need to roll these features out to anybody. Only assign data. Now this is really interesting. Notice if we click this toggle on, it's going to show us this menu, and it's even going to make us aware that it's only going to show this data if we actually assign. I'm going to hit cancel on here. You can use this all you want. You just got to be careful. As that menu said, the people are only going to be able to see data that's been assigned to them. So you're going to have to create some sort of workflow or some process to add the lead to the system, but then also assign the lead to that user. So I'm going to leave that off. Certainly you can turn that on. Just make sure it kind of comes with some expanded follow-up. Lead value, they don't need that. They don't need to mess with your websites. They don't need to mess with Facebook. And they don't need to mess with this. And let's just go in here. And we could, let's see here, there's a couple other things, if you want to mess or toggle with any of these other settings, certainly do that. You're going to want to use their real phone number for this because it's going to send them a text message when they try to log into the system for authentication. So you can't spoof that field. Just kind of scrolling down here, what we would do is we would save this user. I don't really mess with these settings down here. User availability, you've got some expanded calendar configurations that you can start to make. Really for the purpose of this video, the whole goal was to show this basic access point. And what this is going to do is we're manually adding this user in on the portal level. What we can also do on the agency level now, if we add this user, is we can actually go toggle and we can add this user to multiple locations. So the user is going to have the same permissions in multiple locations. So keep in mind those permissions are going to be global. GoHighLevel is not going to allow you to have a user on two different portals with two different permission types. So keep that in mind. You're not going to allow somebody with the same user to log in as an admin on one portal and then be a highly restricted portal, highly restricted on another portal. So That's kind of the point of this video, is just to go through the permissions, and this is how you add somebody for a real restricted access. This is still going to allow them to add data to your system and still operate, make phone calls, set appointments, do stuff like that that you would want a normal VA doing. We're just going to disable everything else in the system. So you can see here that we've actually disabled more features than we've enabled. So really cool. That was the purpose of the video. Hope it works out.